Good morning. I think. Okay, it's almost lunchtime here, but I was a late sleeper this morning. I didn't get up till 9:30. It was like, oh God.
You're such a slacker, Sherry. I mean, really, 9:30.
Welcome to Kelly Dozen Cats Wellness, who we discovered in a conversation a couple of weeks ago. She'd never been on my channel, and both of us thinking, yeah, she has. And I was like, I had to go back and look. It was like, of course she'd
You
been
had
on.
sent me an invite kindly to your second channel anniversary, which congratulations, by the way.
Thank
And
you.
I had sent you back an email and said, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And somehow we chatted back and forth and figured out I've never been here before. So,
and that's when I had to go back. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, here I am.
And so finally I got Kelly. And then
Yay.
Ivana was on last night. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, I must have been on drugs when I made this arrangement. I'm hosting Thomas from Tarot Your Way. And because he's a late night person, because a lot of times if I'm not asleep yet, I'll catch him on, I'll catch him for a few minutes on his channel. And so I said, well, how about late evening? I know you're a late person. Personally, I am too, but during the week, I have to get up at 5 a.m. So I try to go to bed sometime in a decent hour, but I don't always make it. And all right. Well, we got us a full house here. We got Akela and Starhawk and Peace Mama and Gerald is here. And Teresa and Rose. And look, there's somebody named Dozen Cats in the chat. And Rose and Plucky. And I saw Miss Tarot D earlier. I don't know where she's at now. And if I missed you, pardon, Sharp Lisa, hi, she just popped in. I've been slowly,
everybody. Happy Saturday.
I've been slowly popping in and saying hi to everybody in chat. So, because usually if somebody's talking or if I'm talking, I don't like to interrupt them, which coming from me is a trip because
hey, can I ask you something? Can I ask you something as one chatter to another? Meaning because we are both chatters.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you stop talking, when you get quiet, that people look at you and ask you, is there are you okay? Is everything all right? Like they think that something's wrong with you because you get quiet?
Yeah, you're like, are you okay?
Yeah. It happens to me all the time.
I'm trying to be polite and let you talk.
Well, no, but I mean, just like you, I'm a chatter. I love to talk. Obviously, everyone who knows me knows that. But I have my moments where I like to be quiet as well. And I just find it funny that the expectation is there that I will always talk. So when I get quiet, the whole room gets quiet. You know what I mean? And that's
everybody's like,
hey,
what's wrong?
I just think that's funny.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. It does. And it's like, I'm just, sometimes I need a minute to kind of absorb either something somebody else has read on or a question that somebody's asked me, because it's like, it'll hit me and I'll be like, okay, I have to think about that for a minute.
Right. Especially
it's just like when I get bad news or something, from someone in real life, when they tell me something and it's like I almost shut down for a second because my brain has to process it through. But did I just hear what I think I just heard?
Right.
And whereas other people, jump right off the gun, they're on top of it, and I'm like, no, I need to think on that for a minute. So, well, thank you everybody for coming.
I love what Lisa just wrote in the chat, that her grade 3 teacher wrote on her report card. Lisa is somewhat of a chatterbox. I hear you, because that was my report card my entire elementary school years was, Kelly is very social. She likes to talk to everybody. She's, or stuff like that. They would say.
Yes. That was me. All the
I'm a
way up into high
social.
school, and then I got very self-conscious in high school and kind of pulled back and quit talking. And then once I got to know somebody, you couldn't shut me up. But before that, I would just be very quiet. Just
No. It's funny that you say that, because in high school I was a cheerleader for most of the time, and then I was captain of cheerleaders for the rest of the time. And when I say that, people are like, "Wow, like you must have been like so flexible." I'm like, "No, it's because I had a big mouth." Because I could talk.
I was a cheerleader too for a couple of years in middle school era, and it wasn't for the school; it was for the city leagues.
Right. What's middle school in the U.S.? Like, what grades is that? Because it's different.
Well, we called it junior high school, and then now they call it middle school. But that was usually like 6th through 8th.
Oh, okay.
Or 6th through 9th. It kind of depended what state you were in.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, yeah, with me, it was always when I kind of hit puberty is when I kind of shut up. It was because I got really self-conscious about it. Because I went
puberty until I was
here,
like,
it was like all the other girls still looked like girls, and I suddenly was way out here, and I was very self-conscious about it because I would be teased unmercifully over it.
It's funny, isn't it, about kids? At a particular age, kids are so innocent in their speech and the way that they approach different things that they are uncertain about. And then there's another whole age group where kids can be ruthless with their teasing, right? It's funny how that works. I didn't hit puberty till I was like 16 years old, so I was behind
12. Like everything, I was an early riser on it. And we've had a few more people pop in. We've had Gemma. That must be one of yours. I don't recognize that name. Welcome.
Hello.
And we have Andrea and Peace Mama. And Miss Terrell D finally came back. And Ellen. And I think I got all the newbies that popped in.
Oops.
I'm trying to be a better host today because last night I really sucked at it. Last night turned into a chat fest. I think Ivana and I read 3 questions.
I just want to put this out there in the universe, because I'm coming up to my 2nd year anniversary. You've had your channel for 2 years. There's no manual that comes with this, right? And it's not easy to hold a conversation with another person, hold a conversation with the chat, pay attention to the chat, be focused on the readings that you're doing, and it's a lot. So sometimes if you're not, on your game, or, you got other things going on, you're rushing around or whatever, sometimes it may look like you're like, you know what I mean? Or you might want to.
Like you're ignoring people in the chat or something. And it's like,
it's a lot.
Miss Carol D, I hit puberty at 50.
Nice. I love it.
That's all right. I hit menopause at 45, I think I was. That was not fun.
Listen, this is TMI, what I'm about to share. Totally TMI. And I'm just going to say a little blurb, and then we're gonna move on. I knew I was in, that stage of my life, and there was a particular moment in time when I said to my husband, "You need to take me to the hospital." I have white coat syndrome. I am deathly afraid of doctors, medical, like anything medical, right? Like eye testing is still medical. Like I'm afraid of anyone who wears a white coat. It's an actual thing. And he was like, "What?" And I said, "No, I need to see someone." And he was like, "What is the matter?" And I'm just going to say this blip. I had just had an experience that was similar in my mind to a CSI crime scene. And I was like, I don't know, I'm dying. Like literally, I'm dying. What I think is really horrible about menopause is that it's not talked about as to what could it be expected to happen to you.
Yeah.
And it's scary as
And how to
you know
deal
what,
with it.
right?
Because it's not just physiological, it's also psychological. I
Oh,
mean,
friend, yes.
emotions and moods are like up and
Yeah,
down like a roller coaster.
yeah,
And I remember when the first couple of years I was in it, and I mean, I would be sitting there talking to somebody, and all of a sudden I would just be pouring sweat, like
yeah,
somebody just turned a faucet on over my head.
yeah.
And I could literally feel the heat from inside my
Oh, yeah,
body
the hot
come
flashes
in
are
and
not
go
well.
out. Yeah, hot flashes were horrible. And I remember my mom always saying, I feel so bad for you. I wish I could help. She never experienced it because she had to have a full hysterectomy at the age of 26.
Yeah,
And because her ovaries literally rotted out inside of her, and they had to get them out before it killed her.
yeah.
And
That's awful. Good
so,
grief.
uh, she never went through any of that stuff. And
Right.
she never
Well,
took hormones. Like today,
that
they load you
point,
up with hormones, but say
yeah,
again.
that point that you just made about your mom
Yeah.
was similar to me. My mom was the only one in my family that had gone through menopause like naturally.
Yeah.
Me, all of my aunts had hysterectomies or whatever, and I started to go through it when just as my mom died, and I was like, I have nobody to talk to as to what to expect, right? And I remember phoning my one aunt, and I said, this is what I'm experiencing or whatever. She was like, yeah, I can't help you. And I was like, thanks. She's like, read up, because she said, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, well, that's very helpful, thank you so much. But that's what I mean, it's not talked about. People don't, I mean, obviously it's not commonplace conversation, but even when you ask someone, it seems like it's not like we're talking about sex, you know what I mean? Like why
It's
can't you
it's
share
a
this?
natural biological function that
Yeah.
most women go through, unless there's been some kind of biological
Yeah. And a lot of
interruption within
women,
your body, that
yeah,
you're going to go through menopause.
yeah. I think a lot of
I've,
women go through it a lot longer than they realize that they're actually
oh,
going
yeah,
through, because it is like a 10 to 12, possibly 15-year
yeah, yeah. It
point
lasted
or period
almost
of
20
time.
years with me. I
Yeah.
started, well, no, not that long. I'd say about 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, and
Kristen said
even
in the chat,
now at
sorry, Kristen
62,
Kristen said in the chat, Shari, I already have a bad memory, but I hear menopause causes poor memory. I know that it causes like fog brain, not really like I can't remember stuff, but just like, what am I doing? Like it's that moment where
yeah,
you sort of walk to the kitchen and go like, why am I here? I don't understand
yeah.
why I'm here, right?
Yeah, see, Rose had a left ovary removed, right? Too. Yeah, that was my mom. It was like after she had me, she had one ovary and tube removed because it was literally rotting away, but the other one was fine.
Mm,
And then she had my brother, and then he was about, oh, I would say he was probably around 4 or 5
right.
when when my mom had to have the other one taken out. And so a lot of the normal stuff that women go through as they get older, she never went through because she didn't take the hormones,
Right, right.
or any of that. Back then they would push hormones on you. They didn't realize how dangerous they could be.
Yeah, my mom
And
my mom did that.
so when I went through it, she was very empathetic, but she really had no clue how to help me because she never went through it herself,
Right.
um and so now when I see a younger woman, well, I'm in my 60s. So when I see somebody in their 40s or something and they're exhibiting those signs, and I'll tell them, you do know you're in menopause, right? Oh,
Right.
no, no, that comes later. I said, oh, no, it comes earlier than you think.
Mm.
I said, so,
Well,
you expect this, and this, and you'll
yeah.
be okay. But
Proven stat. which I've always found fascinating when it comes to
Like what
what
Ellen
we're
said.
talking about. I don't even know why we're on the subject of menopause, but there you go, friends. We are here to help.
That was me and Ivana last night, man. We were just
Right.
going off into the
The
weeds.
signs and symptoms of menopause for some women, for entertainment purposes only, are very similar to anxiety, panic disorder.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like the sweats, the chills, the aches and the pains, the fog brain, you know, the heart racing, all that kind of stuff. And it's fascinating to me that two things so similarly different can have the exact same sort of effects on a person.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the thing that was hardest for me to wrap my head around when I was going through that, you touched on it a few moments ago about your emotions. For me, most of you know that I've never had children, and there was a moment that affected me in a way that was totally unexpected. And that was that it was like I could not stop repeating the sentence that I'm no longer a woman. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how I arrived at that spot, but I kept sort of repeating that in my head, that I'm no longer a woman because I don't have the capability now to reproduce, right? And that messed me up for a good bit, where I had to really, like, you know, get a hold of myself and be like, you know, this was a choice and a decision that you made. So, and, you know, I could adopt a child if I really wanted to, you know what I mean? Like I had to try to sort it out in my head. That was something that really tripped me up unexpectedly.
Well, and you have I mean, it's maybe not quite so prevalent nowadays. It made me think of it reading what Peace Mama put, but back, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you know, 20 years ago, a lot of doctors didn't seem to know that much about it. And so until you started having more and more female doctors coming into the field that could relate to a patient and what was going on. I was very lucky. I was about my third year into menopause, and then the mood swings was really starting to hit me. I was living in Phoenix at the time. And my boss actually called me into the office to find out if something was wrong, what's going on, why are you so bitchy, basically is how he put it. And I'm just sitting there looking at him going, I don't know what you're talking about, you know?
Right.
And he's like, And then suddenly the faucet turned down and I'm start pouring sweat. And he's like, are you okay? And I just looked at him and I said, menopause. And he sat back in his chair and he said, oh, never mind. I remember my mother doing that. Go back to her. At that point, it was like, oh, okay, I know what you're going through. Go away. I want to deal with you.
To that point, you're very lucky that you had an understanding, you know, superior, because that can be really difficult as well. You know, not having like a boss that you could speak to about, you know, like, I'm going through stuff, so if I suddenly have to like run home,
you know,
or whatever,
if I bite your head off, it's not personal.
It's
like, I know when I was younger, when I would have my menstrual periods, were always really bad. I would like clots the size of my fist.
Wow. See, I was lucky that way. I never experienced
like
that until
I mean, the first 3 days it was lining the mattress with plastic garbage bags and sleeping on top of a group of towels, and it was horrible. My husband always felt so bad for me, and I would get cramping so bad that I couldn't stand up straight. And I'll never forget, I had a little job. I was working a little part-time job, and I had a woman boss, and she was like, well, I don't know what you're complaining about. It can't possibly be that bad. You know, it never bothers me like that. I'm like, well, you're lucky.
Because it
but
affects.
If you want to come to the bathroom with me, I'll show you how bad it can be for me. And So yeah, it just depends, I think, on who you're talking with and what their experience is.
Exactly.
And
I know a
somebody,
girl I don't really know her. She was a coworker. She didn't even work in the same department as me, but like we worked at the same company.
yeah,
And she was like 20 years younger than I was. And it was so bad for her sometimes that she would have to go to the hospital and get a shot of cortisone. And I mean, just saying that, like it freaks me out. I can't imagine
yeah,
the discomfort that she must have been in. I'm so grateful that that was not my experience. But I
yeah,
tell you, it was my experience near the end. Thank you so much.
yeah. You made up for it.
Yeah.
I got it bad on both ends of the deal, and then um, finally I got to the point where when I went to see my OBGYN for a regular checkup, I was like, okay, I'm tired of this crap. Let's just take everything out. I don't need it. I'm not having any more children.
Yeah.
Let's just get rid of it. And I had a really cool OBGYN. She was like, well, let's try some other things first before we go to that extreme.
Yeah, that they don't really advocate for that anymore.
So,
It's like the
and
last resort care.
he did what they call an ablation. They go in and they burn off the uterine walls.
Right.
And for younger women, it usually means you don't have a period for 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Because there's nothing there for it to naturally occur. But at the age that I had it, she was like, you know, you'll probably never have another period again. That'll be the end for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. Yeah. I'm all for that. And sure enough, I've never had to deal with that again. It was like, oh, happy day. And
well, that
now
point,
me on myself if I laugh too hard or if I cough too hard.
Well, that point that you make about the when your cycle ends, a lot of women, which don't, because it's not talked about and it's not something that's commonplace conversation, think that when that happens that that's it, it's done. And it's like, and that's what I meant before when I said, like, you could go through it for 10 or 15 years and your symptoms could be mild and you don't even realize that you're still literally, I mean, that's the beginning of menopause is when that starts to happen, right?
Yeah.
The part about that was, it's funny how it's sort of, it's not history repeating itself, but it's similar in my mind, because at the end, it was very much like it was in the beginning. Like, you never knew, there was like no, there was, every time was different, you know what I mean? And like, you felt like you weren't safe. You had to leave the house with like extra stuff all the time, just in case. It was always a just in case thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, and I realize this is probably the gentlemen in the chat are like, are we really talking about this?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Evidently, it must be important today because that's where spirits led us. But it especially for our generation. Now, you're what? You're about 10 years younger than me, I think.
I don't know how old you are.
15. I'm 62. So
I'm 58.
Okay, well, we're not that far apart at all then. No. But people of our generation, you just didn't discuss it.
No.
It wasn't talked about. It wasn't gossiped about. It wasn't. I was lucky in a sense that my mom was very open and frank with my brother and I both about sex and biological functions and all that kind of thing. So it kind of made all of that transition easier because you kind of knew what to expect.
Right. Well, you had, I mean, and if you had
somebody there saying, but you still have more male doctors than female doctors.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't have a clue. I mean, I realized that when it came to dealing with pain because of my back and my neck, of how many just regular doctors don't have any clue how to deal with pain or how pain medications work, or how to best help their patients with it, when to send them to a specialist and when you don't really need to take that other step.
Right.
And that's been a real eye-opener for me over the last 20 years, going through that.
To that point that you just made, I want to add also that for our generation, and I think it's still very relevant today. I don't think that, it's changed that much. But because we were mostly dealing with male doctors, we weren't encouraged to openly express ourselves and necessarily like just have these kinds of conversations, right? You had to be in the right situation with the right people around you to have this kind of conversation. So for us to go to a male doctor and say, I'm having a problem with so and so or whatever, this, you know what I mean, whatever, it was difficult. It made you feel very self-conscious because these things were not talked about openly. And
you felt like you were the only one going through it.
Exactly. And there was a lot of, I don't know, it wasn't really shame or blame. It's just, it just wasn't discussed. And so it was difficult to go to a male doctor and ask questions about your own personal health, which when I think about it, I mean, that's so wrong on so many levels, but.
I mean, I was in my late 40s before I ever had a female gynecologist.
Right.
And I was lucky. She was awesome. She really was. She was from Jamaica or somewhere like that. So she had that beautiful island accent.
Yeah.
And but she was just so very frank and upfront about things. And she was just a lot of fun. I looked forward to going to my visits with her because I enjoyed her company. She was just so much fun to be with. And it was easy at that point then to talk about things that were going on that I never discussed with a doctor before. I just, you just didn't talk about it.
Yeah. And, my doctor, I was very lucky because my like, your family physician doctor had been my doctor since I was born. So for all of my stages of life, he knew me. So I felt extremely comfortable having a conversation with him. I remember when I went to the doctor to ask for birth control pills, I literally felt like I was talking to my grandfather. Do you know what I mean? And I felt so uncomfortable. It was like I couldn't make eye contact. Like I was 21 years old. Don't tell anybody. But that's how old I was. And I was like, all like, ooh, do you have to speak to my mother about this?
When I was 7, they put me on birth control when I was 17, and it was because of my periods, because they were so irregular. I would go 2-3 months without one, and then I'd bleed for a whole month. It was just, it was crazy. And so the doctor that we had at the time was just a regular family practitioner, but he was from Korea. He had, they had escaped Korea during the Korean War. And he came over and he had to go back to medical school here in order to practice medicine here, because he was a doctor in Korea, but he couldn't practice it here. He had to go through our medical school. And his wife was a nurse, one of his nurses. And but he was the one. I was 17, and I'd gone in for something. I don't remember now what it was. And my mother was with me, and she brought it up about the wild, crazy kind of cycles that I had. And he looked at me and he said, well, we can take care of that. We can get you regular, no problem. We'll just put you on birth control pills. And I remember it would just kind of caught me off guard. And my mom went, really? And he said, oh yeah, that's the best. That's the easiest way to deal with it.
Right.
And so it was just approached to me as just, this is a way to regulate your cycle and be normal again. And, but I know when my girlfriends and stuff found out that I was on birth control.
Oh yeah, then it became a whole other topic.
It became something else, know, and especially with the guys. Then it was like, oh, Shari's on birth control. It's like, I'm still not going out with you. Just don't worry about it.
This doesn't mean a thing where you're concerned. This is all.
That's right. You've got nothing to do with this. So, anyway, so I guess that covers the
this covers the
portion of the show today.
This covers the female empowerment phase of the program. Thank you for being here.
Go. See, and that helped too when I was a teenager, because we're talking the 70s. And that was when equal rights and the now and Helen Reddy's I Am
Yep.
Woman song came out. I
Mhm.
mean, which was every woman's anthem at that point.
Absolutely.
And like I've shared before, my mother was a marcher. She was civil rights, equal rights, women's rights.
Yep.
You know, if LGBTQ rights had been going at that time, she'd have been on that one too, you know.
Yep.
Um,
That's my
so
husband.
hi, Mark. And or hi again, Mark, I should say.
Yeah.
But so it was.
May I also add that having a really supportive partner really, really helps.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because it was a lot when we were going through this.
Yeah.
And I would just look at him and I was just like, I'm sorry. And he'd be like, what? And then I would be just like, whatever was going on. He was like, okay, this is a lot. So it really helps to have someone that supports you.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment, blame, or shame, you know, because I don't think that people understand the emotional roller coaster in addition to the physical roller coaster that you are on. And just like with my diagnosed anxiety panic disorder, I don't necessarily understand all the time when certain things were happening, or not so much now, but when I was first diagnosed, didn't understand when things were happening to me. And someone, like, I'm sitting here talking to my friend and she's like, I'm trying to help you. What can I do? And I'm like, I can't make it make sense to me. I don't know how to ask you for help for me.
Yeah.
Or how you can even be supportive of me, because I don't understand it myself. So it was very, very important to have Mark's support, and I'm grateful that he was there for it.
In all of the cycle, deals over the years. I mean, I had my husband who perfectly understood, I mean, once he kind of got it and what I was going through with it, he was very supportive, very helpful. I would wake up in the middle of the night because I'd drenched the bed and have to go get in the shower at 2 a.m. to clean up, and I'd come back and he'd already have clean sheets on the bed. He would get up, change the bed, the whole bit. And so, that in and of itself made a huge difference in how I dealt with a lot of it. Now he had already passed by the time I hit menopause, so he didn't have to deal with that part of it. So, and but yeah, it's difficult when it comes to, and women are still having a hard time coming out and talking about everything.
I don't think it's in our.
It's not as bad as it was.
Well, would you not agree? It's not really in our makeup, to ask for help.
Yeah.
I would like to say that, and I'm generalizing this statement. We're more like the doers, right?
Yeah.
Females are more doers, and we come from an emotional place, and oftentimes I think that if something's wrong, rather than running off to the bathroom and having a good cry, we'll often go into the kitchen and start washing dishes or something. Like, keep yourself busy, especially people from our generation. That's what we were taught to do, right? Is to keep yourself busy. You don't talk about it. You just, you don't say it out loud. You just sort of refocus. And I know that because I'm a chatter, see, I'm bringing that full circle. I like how I did that. Because I'm a chatter, I'm able to communicate how I feel. And because we are in the stage that we're in society now, it's okay for me to say how I feel. Right. I will say, though, that sometimes people say to you, many of us in this community, several times, even within an hour's program, we'll say, speak your truth, stand in your truth, communicate your truth, whatever the verbiage is.
Yeah.
You say your truth, and then you're judged and you're labeled and you're blamed and you're shamed because you did it. But speaking your truth is not about anybody else. It's about you, right? It's about how you feel once you've done that. And the idea that we are allowed to do that now, every time you do it, it's just reinforced. So you feel freer and more apt to do it without.
Which is why when, whenever I'm doing a show and we, roll off the track, so to speak, and go down these paths, I enjoy it because I always feel like, okay, there's either somebody listening or somebody that
100%.
will be listening that needs to hear this, and that's why we're being led down this path. And that's cool with me because there are, in a lot of respects today, it's those like you and me who are chatters who get on here, we'll talk about any damn thing. Everybody knows all of our life business and all of our dirty laundry because we put it out there.
Yeah.
What's to hide? But we don't really realize how much it's helped people. I mean, I've gotten emails or private messages from folks sometimes 2 or 3 weeks after a show thanking me for covering a certain topic and just talking about it. Because it was something that they needed to hear at that point in time, that they watched it, whether they were on the live or just saw it later on. And so that's always given me the kind of the boost of knowing, just go with it. Just go wherever the path leads us, and
100%.
don't worry about it.
On that note, I'm going to do a shameful plug if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
So as you know, I used to have my other channel, Circle of Friends. It became too much, like sort of having two channels that are the same, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
And so I stopped that channel. Allie was my partner, Allie from Heart and Soul Connected, which I love dearly. I wanted to take that channel in a new direction, and I had an idea of where I wanted it to go, but I couldn't quite figure it out. Well, I figured it out. And I have called it Dozen Cats Chats. And it is like a podcast type of vibe where I will be talking about these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a plan. Sometimes there's not going to be a plan. Sometimes it's going to be me. Sometimes it's going to be me and others. And it will just be wherever, whatever, however, for whomever. Yeah. And I'm seriously very, very excited about it. And
that sounds wonderful.
Mark just put that link.
Yeah, he put it all in there. I was reading it just before you said it. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!"
Yeah,
and
so I'm looking forward to that, because just like what you said, when this all happened, that I ended up with the channel, it wasn't. I didn't know how to read tarot. I didn't have any tarot cards. I didn't have oracle cards. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm still learning. So
well, I don't think you ever. Yeah, I don't think that you ever stop learning. But my point was, I didn't have any, and I had no intention to have any.
Right.
But I started my channel to talk about mental health because it is my goal has always been about wellness. My goal has always been to take the blame and the shame and the sting out of saying out loud, I have anxiety panic disorder. Don't judge me. I'm still Kelly. I'm not defined by my illness. I am still who I am. It is a part of me. And so I feel like I'm sort of in a very long road getting back to where I started in the first place. So I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome.
So subscribe.
Mark put the stuff in the chat. I know Rose already popped in and said I'm subbed. And and thank you, Mark, for putting in the links. And then that way y'all can go after the show, you can go back in and and check the chat, and I will go in and add it to the description box.
Thanks, Shari.
Because I didn't realize you had started a new channel yet. So yeah, I mean, I'm getting ready to start memberships on my channel. I meant to roll it out for September, but because I have a Patreon page, it's not active yet because I'm still working on it, and I'm getting ready to roll out memberships as well. And the goal was to do all of that in September, and roadblocks came along and hit me, and this and that and the other, and it just kind of rolled right on through, and now we're into October. So now my goal is I'm trying to get everything where I want it, moving in the direction I want by the end of the year. I better give myself a little more time here. A friend of my son's, hi Marby, a friend of my son's is a graphic artist. That's what he does for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And he offered to make me a logo for free. And so I feel awkward hounding him about, you got a logo yet? Because he's doing it on his spare time, and he offered to do it at no cost. And so, I'm still waiting for that, and to kind of be able to put it all together, and still working on what I'm going to offer, at what levels am I going to offer things. But I know one of the things I wanted to do was, especially with members, is have like kind of like what you were talking about. That's what I was thinking, a monthly chat where we just come in and chat and talk to each
Mm-hmm.
other, and whatever the question of the moment is.
Right.
And that was just one of the ideas flitting through my brain. I know Miss Terrell D and I have gotten on the phone several times where she's really helped me kind of focus in on several ideas as I was
Mm-hmm.
talking. She was like, well, you need to channel that here. You need to channel that there. And it was like, okay, it helped having that other ear kind of being able
I'm
to
just saying thank you that Mr. D subscribed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. D.
One of the things, I say this all the time, this, Shari. I mean, gosh, you've been on my channel so many times. Way back in the beginning when you weren't doing any videos on your own channel, you were with me. And
I was just a guest on other people's channels. I was too scared to do my own.
But you know that I've always said this. I started in this community in the chat. I was a broken individual, and the power of the chat helped me to feel like I had reason to look forward, right? I felt the love, I felt the compassion, I felt the understanding, I felt the support. And, I say all the time that I wear a chatter as a badge of honor, referring to being in these chats, in these chat rooms.
That's how we were in the same chats together.
We absolutely were. And that's where I was going with it. Like, the people in the chat, I don't know that you necessarily realize or even recognize that you have the power to change someone's day and or life. Like in my case, I feel like you saved my life. By the support that I received. And so I was just going to say, like, it's so great that you have, people that you can turn to. And that's one of the most awesome things about this community is the support base that you build up, that you have the ability to reach out to people and say, hey, can you help me brainstorm or whatever. I've helped tons of people behind the scenes, like, with logos and, how to operate StreamYard or YouTube or whatever.
I have sat on many a private Zoom call with somebody walking them through StreamYard or through YouTube with just a little bit that I know. And there are others that know tons more than me. It's like, I can just tell you what I've figured out because, it's a lot of it's stuff that I just figured out on my own. Like Miss Terrell D said, we helped her get through the worst cancer days. I mean, I messaged her husband and said, what's your address, your home address? And started sending little personal cards and whatnot.
Oh, very kind of you.
To just boost her up because I've got a few 100%. Friends that have gone through cancer. And I know how sometimes just opening the mailbox and there's a hang in there card or, something like that can change the whole way your day goes.
Listen, there is no better feeling to know that someone else was thinking of you just because. In my opinion, there is no better feeling than knowing, like when you open anything, your phone or Facebook or whatever, and you see that's, for no reason, someone's just said like, hey, you know what, I was thinking of you today. I mean, it's like the dog waiting at the door for you.
And the deeper friendships that form out of,
100%.
that as well. There are a handful of people that it's gone beyond just being friends online or friends in chat, where it's delved into a deeper friendship,
100%,
which I really cherish. It's I mean, when I stumbled into this community, I had just lost my mom after a 10-year battle of dementia. We had just gone into lockdown from COVID. You know, I was not in a good place emotionally, spiritually. And, you know, it was by divine action that a certain channel popped up on
Yeah.
my feed one day, and I was like, political tarot, progressive political tarot. I didn't know that existed, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
clicked on the link, and I was very intrigued, which led me to others, which led me to others. And within a couple of months, I was, you know, probably subscribed to a couple of dozen people that
Yeah.
were the regulars back then, you know,
Yeah.
ones that are kind of the upper echelon now, you know,
Yeah.
that and watching them, and I still never said a word. It was a good 6 months before I ever chatted
Right.
in the chat. I would just sit and watch and listen because I kept waiting for the claws to come out, as I told
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
because I would see how supportive and how loving everybody was. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like, this can't be real.
Well, you
People,
almost feel like you've walked into the wrong house party. You know, like you know what I
yeah,
mean. Like if you
or
say something that they might just like skip over you. But
yeah,
no, no.
yeah, or you hear the Twilight
My
Zone music in
experience
the
is the
back of your
same.
head.
Yeah, my experience is the same as yours. I found a reader. I'm a sucker for tarot scopes, you guys. I'm all about the tarot scope. And we were going through. And it's funny because Shari's story and my story are very similar
Very
in
similar.
terms,
Yeah,
right, of what brought us here. So my
I
mom
think
had
we were on
passed.
the same channel when we first popped into a live stream.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, on
yeah,
Lisa and Sharon's
that's right. Yeah, it was so funny, right?
Nat
But
Women's Tarot Lounge, or
yeah,
you know,
I came to the community because I was listening to the tarot scopes because I'm a sucker for the tarot scopes, and we were going through a legal battle to get my mom's remains back. Sorry if that's triggering or TMI for some people. And I
it is what
through
it
that,
is.
you know, then this came up in my feed, and that came up in my feed, and then that came up in my feed, and I ended up having a private reading with Andrea from Lilac Lantern, you know, fellow Canadian, shout out. And it was awesome. She was so kind, so compassionate. I mean, she spent so much time with me, and I just adored her. And then I would watch her, and then I found other people. And I
Yeah,
remember, like, I don't remember how I found people or when I found them, but there are specific people that I do remember. So the Andrea, I remember. Then I found Freebird Spirit. I went in her chat, and it was like, wait a minute, I can ask a question and you can give me a message from my mom. What? So I asked a question. Debbie gave me a reading, gave me a message from my mom, gives me chills. Right. I mean, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. It was like, oh my God, like
yeah,
that's amazing. Because all I wanted to know, as anybody would want to know in our spot, that we were doing what she wanted us to do, right? That we were doing what we felt was best
yeah.
for her, right? And so that's, you know, that was that moment. And then from that moment I found Lisa and Sharon, which then, you know, it's their fault, Shari. Let's blame that. We're going to blame Lisa and Sharon. It's their fault that we're here.
It's their fault, and they were having a
Yeah,
discussion on bra sizes the
yeah,
night that I actually finally spoke up in the chat. You know,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
right time, right topic. You know, but
yeah. But that night was Lisa's birthday.
it was,
It's around Halloween.
yeah.
And Lisa had a bunch of people on the screen. I remember Maya from Black Cat was up there, and I think
Yeah.
Ron was on the screen as
The
well.
Riches, Wayne and Suzanne Rich came
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And
And she said if there was anyone in the chat who wanted to come up, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. Friends, I'm not kidding you, okay? My hair looked like this. I was in my PJs, and this is what my hair looked like. And I was like, yes. And I was like, what am I doing? So I'm like, you know, zhuzhing myself up. And I went on the screen, and I sort of felt it was my chance to say thank you collectively to the people that I felt had given me a reason to wake up in the morning. And then Allie saw me and got in touch with me. And then I went on Allie's channel telling my story in that series that she was doing about resilience in a time of fascism and plague.
Yep. And I was on, I think, a month or two after you went on.
Yeah.
She had me on.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, very quickly, what was interesting about me doing that series was that, you know, everyone else was talking about how being locked in and being isolated was affecting them in a really negative way. I actually felt more normal because I self-isolate. I don't leave my house. And so for me, I was like, wow, look at me. I'm like everybody else now. Nobody's looking at me funny. Yeah. So I didn't feel like the thing that stuck out anymore.
Odd man out, right.
Yeah. And while I was telling my story on our channel, a bunch of people in the chat were saying, you know, you should start a channel. You gotta. And so I did. and I consider my channel like my virtual
child,
my virtual like healing log, if you will. Like it's not a vlog, but it's like that. You know, I'll come on here and cry. I've done my release ceremony with everybody. You know, I'll talk, I'll do whatever I need to do, and I'll say how it is. And there's nothing that's happened in the last 2 years that I'm not grateful for. I now am at a point in my life where I think more positively than I do negatively, more often than I ever thought possible.
Oh, yeah.
I look forward to the next day. I look forward to next week, next month, next year. And I'm generally speaking a happier person. And none of those things did I think were even in the realm of my possibility at the stage that I was at with my anxiety.
Yeah.
And now, friends, I'm leaving the house, not on a regular basis, but I've actually gone out. I've stepped out. And I've taken you all with me because I do it live, right? And
I think I watched one of your first forays out.
Yeah.
And you did a live, and it just so happened I was at lunch that day or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she left the house. I mean, I was so excited for you because it was like, that's so, because I knew how big of a deal it was. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. And the fact that people have been so kind to share these experiences with me. And I realize that not everyone may do that, but you may have your own thing that you're struggling with and looking for inspiration or motivation. And so collectively through all of us, if we can put that out in the universe that you have the support that you need, sometimes that's all you need is just knowing that you're not alone,
Oh yeah. I mean, when I finally started chatting in the chat, and it was Lisa and Sharon's chat was the first one I ever started chatting in. And I had Angela Carmancy Mesquite, who sent me a private message and said, send me your mailing address. And I went, why? And she says, because you need tarot cards. You're a reader. And I'm like, I don't know anything about tarot. She says, that's okay. You will.
Right.
And so I sent her my address, and she sent me 2 decks of cards, and that's what got me going. And then I got them, and I was like, what do I do with these? And she was the one that told me, read along with the readers that you're watching.
Yeah.
While they're doing draws and doing readings, you shuffle and draw your cards and see, does it match? And there's no pressure on you to do it. And you can stop and look it up in your little book to see, what it means.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still stop and I keep my little book.
Yeah.
Because there are still times when I pull a card, especially in tarot, and it's like the meaning it goes. I don't remember what the card stands for, basically, and I'm not feeling anything intuitively off of that particular card. Then I'll grab my book and I'll look real quick. Oh yeah, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I when Oracle's first person I saw using Oracle cards was Allie. And I was like, wow, those are really cool. And I just felt drawn to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to buy me an Oracle deck. But I didn't know what to buy because you go look online and there's a gazillion of them. And right about that time, she had a drawing for something. And she was giving away a tarot deck and an Oracle deck. And I entered the drawing and I won the Oracle deck. And I still have it. I still use it. It's one of my favorites. And but it was funny because when I got the deck, when I held it in my hands, I felt a physical
reaction to it,
zap to it.
Mm.
It was like it just hit me.
Yeah,
this is it. This
it's
is what
funny that you say that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember the first Oracle deck that I got, and like that's my go-to deck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and I probably have like 100 Oracle decks. So
oh yeah, I've got more than I know what the hell to do with, and I'm it's addictive. I buy them like crazy. But
we don't want to talk about it because my husband.
One of my newest ones is a little pocket edition of Light Seers Tarot.
Oh, nice.
Because I've always stuck with the Rider-Waite because I have the one that's got meanings. Everything's printed on the card with the picture. And so it just makes it easier as you're going. And
blessings.
Bye, Miss Tarot D. Get some rest. And then this deck came out. And I started seeing a lot of people using it. And I was kind of like, people. Probably so. And I was like, I don't know about that. Looks kind of weird. And then I bought one of the little cheapy knockoff decks at Temu, I think, and just kind of started flipping through it. And I thought, these are actually kind of cool. I like this. And then back in the beginning of the summer, I joined Hay House Deck Club. And so every 3 months you get a box with 2 or 3 decks of cards in them. Usually they're not even published yet. You get them like a little ahead of time. And the last box I just got had the pocket edition of this. And it actually comes, it's buried over there. It comes in a little tin box. And so it was like, oh, that's so cool. So I started kind of using them. And I still had my knockoff deck that I keep with me in my purse. Yeah. And I would, play around with them at lunchtime when I'm sitting out in the car. And the more I messed around with them, the more I liked them. And then when I got the pocket edition and I got the book to go with it, and I started reading her intentions behind the cards and everything. Yes. It was like, yeah. Oh, I like what she's saying and how she's saying it.
Yeah. When I first started, everyone said, get the Rider-Waite. That's, Rider-Waite. So I got the Smith-Waite Centennial deck, right? Everybody knows these guys. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, I got nothing. Yeah. So then someone else said, get yourself a deck of Light Seers. So then I got myself, a deck of Light Seers.
Yeah.
And that's what spoke to me. I love color, and the colors just sort of made sense to me.
That's what pulls me in with Oracle decks too, is the color saturation to the cards.
So obviously I mean, I'm doing it a bit now, so I know, I don't have any problems that way, but like I've always had the Rider-Waite. And then what I did was I took the Light Seer and the Rider-Waite and sort of would place them side by side. So that helped me string this story together. My problem when I was learning tarot was stringing the story together. I got 2 lessons from Nancy Jean, which was very helpful because I learned the numerology, as well as the journey of the major arcana, and that really helped me to be able to put the story together.
Sorry, that's what I liked about, and this has been my go-to deck until I found the Light Seers. But I still like this one if I'm doing like a big reading, because most of pull out a couple of cards here. I mean, it's just like the regular Rider-Waite.
Yeah.
But it's got both meanings printed on the card.
Yeah.
It's got the numerology breakdown on the card. It's got the
Yeah.
element breakdown, the astrological breakdown, the uh it gives you a ruin symbol.
Yeah,
It's yes,
and the
no,
planets and all that.
maybe.
Yeah,
It's like there are multiple uses to one card depending on what the question is.
100%.
And so I really enjoyed using these. It helped me learn a lot easier.
Yeah.
As I was trying to figure out how to string cards together, because that was the hard part.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still like, okay, what are you trying to tell me here?
There are times when you do that, when you'll throw the cards down and the people that watch me, you guys know, I'll do it. I'll put the cards down and I'll be like, this makes no sense, but I'm just gonna put it out there, and they will say, yes, it resonates. And I'm like, okay, that's all. It doesn't matter. And I've gotten to that point now where, and this is another gift that I have received since this. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Allie. Speak of the devil.
Yeah, we were just talking about you. All good stuff.
Right? Talking about you. All good stuff.
I want to say that, another gift that I have received since starting my channel, thanks to Miss Allie, is the fact that I have learned to trust myself again. When I sit down to read, I ask you to trust me by coming into my chat and asking a question. You're trusting me to give you what Spirit is giving me for you. So therefore, I have to trust myself to give you what I get. I don't have to understand. It's not for me. It's for you. So I don't get all in my head about it. And the fact that I can even trust myself like that is a miracle. You would have to know me before to know that, but trust me, that's the truth. But anyways, that's what's happened. Now when I throw the cards down, I just say, this is what it is. It doesn't matter if it resonates with me or not. You want a message from Spirit?
And it was funny, before Allie popped into the chat, I was going to say, back in the beginning, before she and Susan Lynn did a show together on Sundays.
Yes, they did.
And Allie was always saying, "Oh, I'm not psychic. I'm not psychic. I'm just here
absolutely." She would. Yep.
And it was like, yeah, you are. But Susan kept telling her, yeah, you are. But it was I hadn't really talked about my mother that much, so most people didn't know, the situation. They just knew she had passed.
Right.
And they were doing readings one Sunday, and I just simply put in the chat, does my mom have a message for me? Her name was Sharon. She died on this date. And when they got to my question and put it up, before Susan could draw breath, Allie just looked up and she looked dead in the camera and she said, she remembers everything. And that floored me. At that point, I burst into tears sitting here watching, it chokes me up to talk about it. And I remember Susan looked over at her and said, yeah. And it just hit me because my mom had dementia.
Yes, exactly.
And by the end, she didn't know who anybody was. She didn't remember anything. And so it spoke volumes to me that I was heading down the right road. Because it was like, if somebody who's sitting there telling everybody, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a psychic. And then they read a question and it just pops out their mouth. And it's like exactly what I needed to hear. And it was like, if that's not from Spirit, I don't know what is. But yeah.
I have two cards for you, Allie. I think you're gonna love them. So the first card that I pulled is from the Wisdom of the House of Night deck. It's a beautiful image.
That is gorgeous.
Card number 27. And the card is hope.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, and where's the hope coming from? Or why are you looking for that message of hope? This is from the Everyday Witch Oracle. You've got this lovely, I love this deck. It's so pretty. It reminds me a lot of the Light Seers, the kind of like the artwork. But the message it's so small, the writing. It is transformation and change is the message on the bottom of the card. So if you're going through something, yes, and a 9. So if you're going through something, hope. And how do you do that? Speaking of the 9, this is about putting boundaries around yourself to protect yourself, right? Remembering that you are resilient and that you are determined. Right now, you may be a little bit resistant to the change, but the boundaries will help to protect you so that you will be able to continue to navigate the changes that are coming in a hopeful, positive, higher vibrational way. That's what I got for you.
And for my animal oracle, I got pig spirit, which says use your mind wisely, which is something you already do, but just a nice little reminder. And then from the Moonology messages, and this goes right into what Kelly was saying, it says cold moon, face your fears. So as you delve into those deeper aspects, face your fears. That's what's gonna get you through. And you've already faced so many fears. I mean, we've all watched you go through all kinds of crap, these last few years, and grow a lot yourself. I mean,
and it's
it wasn't that
111
long ago that you were insisting to everybody that you didn't have a psychic bone in your body, and now I hear you say to people all the time, "Well, everybody's psychic." It's like,
and it's 111. So that means that my mom is co-signing that message for you. Love you too, Allie.
Love you, Allie. And I just love
that.
Allie.
Seems very fitting that Allie popped in when we're about to end, seeing as how Allie was so instrumental in both of us being here. And I want to also say, that hope card is like, that's what Allie gave me by being supportive of me and encouraging me. Obviously we're friends and I love her dearly, but she gave me hope and gave me a level of support that I wasn't getting in other places, and continues to do so.
Know I need it.
Yeah. Oh no, I see now. I knew I needed it, but gave it to me in a way that gave me hope, right? I think I sent her a message one time. I believe it was last year on Canadian Thanksgiving, and I think that I said something to the effect that she is like my lighthouse. She is that beacon of light that if I get lost, I know where home is, for me. So I love you. She's so sweet.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, if anybody else wants well, we're a little over an hour now. How you doing on time? Are you okay? Okay.
Turkey doesn't go in the oven until tomorrow, so I'm fine.
Oh, okay. That's right. It's Thanksgiving in Canada.
Yep.
I forget. I'm terrible about that
Stephanie.
kind of stuff. Who's Stephanie?
Stephanie is Trillium Tarot.
Oh, Trillium Tarot. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome. We had somebody else, and I meant to put it up, and I forgot. From Louise Boat, who came in and rewound. And so right there, nice. What we were talking about, why we were talking about all that is because somebody needed to hear it. Ding, 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 ding. There goes the bell, just got rung.
I love it.
And
thank you, Rose.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's right. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving Day.
Woohoo!
I don't even want to think about Thanksgiving. That means I got to cook.
Hi, Jackie. How you doing, love? Sharp Lisa wants a general reading.
Oh, sure.
We can do that.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Which one is talking to me?
Jackie, do you guys have like a Thanksgiving type holiday in Ireland? Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot she's in Ireland.
I don't believe that they do in England. I'm not sure if they do in
Not that
Ireland.
I'm aware of. I know their Christmas is around the same time, but it's different than ours. They have Boxing Day, and
We have Boxing Day.
yeah, I don't exactly know.
Remember that we are, Canada is a Commonwealth country, so
Right.
pretty much whatever England has, we have.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Their traditions.
Yeah, I didn't know if y'all kept all the same stuff, or if you deviated from things that England did for something different. And
it's Boxing Day in Ireland is St. Stephen's Day. Interesting.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, thank you, Jay. He's like,
I popped into Jay's chat the other night. I caught him live and I was chatting away with him. You're gonna go to the Husky truck stop. Listen, Husky truck stop, awesome. Shout out to the Husky truck stop.
Well, I know for the last 7 or 8 years, I've always gone to Logan's Farms for my Thanksgiving turkey, because I could get a honey glazed turkey breast that was already cooked, already ready. All I had to do was just heat it up, and boy, wasn't that wonderful. And last year I went to go pick up my turkey the day before, and the girl was like, we're out. We've been out of turkey for 3 days, 2 days.
You're having KFC for Thanksgiving. You're welcome.
And so I was like, what? I have to cook this year? So I had to go to the store then and try to find a decent turkey, because most of them had been picked through by that point. And so Thanksgiving morning, I got up and I started to cook it, and it hit me. I wonder how many people don't even know how to cook a turkey. They don't know to pull the stuff on the inside out. You don't cook that with that in there. And so I decided to do a video on it. So
listen, there's some people that don't want to stick their hands inside of a turkey to pull that bag out, even to know that it's there.
I have
don't buy yourself a utility turkey. That'll
not latex, but the other kind of gloves that because I'm allergic to latex, but I have a box of gloves that I keep in the kitchen. And anytime I deal with any kind of chicken or turkey or anything like that, I wear my gloves. Because it's something about the feel on my fingernails and under my nails that it just bugs me to the point that it's like, I don't want that all over my hands.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Now I wear gloves when I deal with any kind of fresh meat. In the kitchen, it's like I put my gloves on, and I think everybody else feels better because they feel safer. Oh, how interesting!
I love that, by the way, Sharp Lisa. I love that. Hi, Gina. She says, "Hi, Shari and Kelly. I just came in when you're talking about turkey innards." Sorry. Oh, and Gemma wanted a reading on her career. She had asked that earlier. She's at 117, which is your 1217, I think.
Yeah, let me find her in stars so I don't miss it.
Second from the bottom comment.
Yeah, the Nitriel, Terry, Stephanie, that's her name.
Yeah, Stephanie.
Hi, Gina. Okay.
All right, so here we go for Sharp Lisa. We start out with the Wise Counselor, which is the Hierophant in the traditional tarot. Feeling like you don't fit in. It might be an idea that your beliefs aren't agreeing with other people, or your perception is that other people don't agree with how you're doing things, right? There's something about that. We've got the Four of Cups coming up next, feeling stuck or feeling bored. I explain that energy like you're standing in front of the fridge, you're hungry, you open it up, and you're like, nothing's speaking to me. I have no idea what I want. And you close the fridge and you walk away. and then you come back 5 minutes later, right? Because you're hungry, you're craving something, but you don't know what you're hungry for.
Right.
In the challenge position, you've got the Empress. This is about taking action, right? This is about finding the go button and getting after it. The outcome card, you have the Three of Pentacles, working with others, cooperation, collaboration, making plans. You've got the King of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, so building a solid foundation, reaching a certain level in your life where you feel that you can be proud, relaxed, and feeling content. So whatever has made you feel like you might not be fitting in, I don't know if that's something that came from your past. I feel like this is a thing that you sort of work on often. And I think that the challenge position card with the Empress is channel that inner feminine, powerful, like, warrior princess kind of vibe within you, right? Dig down into that strength and pull that out so that you can conquer that I don't fit in this spot, right? Be the best you that you know how to be. The oracle card that I've got for you is the Eggs, which is a fresh start. So if you can master this energy, you've got these cooperation and collaborations with other people, this fresh start to build that solid foundation and find that level of contentment that you hope to have.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
the hummingbird spirit, which just says be here now. It's just like a little, hummingbirds, they flit you. They're so much in the present because they move so fast. They're zip, 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 zip. They're all over the place. But yet your eye follows them and can keep up with them even as fast as they move, because they're currently in the present and they keep you kind of focused on in the present. And then I pulled for you Water Oracle. I don't know if you can see that or not. And it just says psychic abilities, acting on visions. It's destined. So, that's telling you you've got abilities, you've got places to go, things to do. It's kind of already predestined your path. Doesn't mean that path doesn't change, because we do have free will. So we can change it. But acting on visions, I don't know, maybe you get visions. I'm not sure. My mother would get visions and she hated it and would suppress it. I've never been one for visions per se. But every now and again, I'll get one that just kind of will knock me back a step because it kind of catches me off guard. And it kind of like running along with the mediumship skills that are starting to wake up and happen for me. And I know Sun Psychic Gene has been kind of helping me learn how to control that flap over your third eye to open up and get what you need and then close it up. Because currently for me, it's either getting hit by a marching band at full play or crickets, one or the other. I don't seem to I haven't learned control of it yet. So it's like I can't bring it in when I want it and make it stop when I want, but I'm working on that. So that's part of my destiny. And, I'm learning to roll with it. It just takes time. But yeah, I'm picking up really good messages here for you. So that's very encouraging. All right. Oh, and Sharp Lisa, what was that you just said?
That was Sharp Lisa that we did.
I love she says, I love hummingbird visitors. Okay.
So that feelings that you're talking about, Lisa, that's what Shari's saying. Like, they could be consistent, but you're not open to the fact that they're consistent, right? And it's all about having faith and trust in your ability and not allowing yourself to question, as is totally normal, as we all do, no matter how evolved you are in your skills, your gift, whatever verbiage you want to put on it. You're always going to be like, wait a minute, what? I mean, I remember going, this is TMI, but like waking up in the middle of the night, going to the washroom, you're half asleep, you're one eye open, you're like, and like there's a vision happening, and you're like, wait a minute, what, really? Now? Now's not now's not the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
not really the time right now.
Right. Like you do have to learn to control it, like Shari's saying, but you also have to learn not to second guess it and to be able to interpret it for its intended meaning. Right. And that takes time.
And if you don't, at the moment, if you don't really understand what that vision's trying to tell you, journal it, write it down.
Yeah.
Come back to it a couple of days later 100%. And it may be crystal clear for you at that point.
100%.
Because other things have come into play over a course of several days.
Yeah.
That suddenly now that makes sense, because I've had that happen to me where things have come to me and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
And then boom, 2-3 days down the road, it comes back and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gemma wanted a reading related to her career. So I hope that helps, Sharp Lisa. Reading related to my career.
It feels like the old days, doesn't it, Shari?
I'm telling you. It's a nice feeling.
Isn't it, though?
And it's nice when you have somebody on with you because it's somebody that if you're trying to focus in on a reading, there's somebody else there to provide the chatter, And when they're trying to focus in on their reading, you're there to chatter. And it helps, it's a compliment to one another when you're able to do that.
Yes.
Go ahead and go.
And I would also add that because we have read so many times together, we kind of know how each other vibes, right? And
exactly.
We've spent hours reading together. Not recently, but we've spent hours.
Yes.
in one session, sometimes, friends. But yeah. Okay, Gemma, this is what I got for you, love. I feel like I know why you're asking this question because I feel like you are in it. Like you have gone through some stuff. I'm sorry. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, I feel like you've really been through like a bad situation, right? You've got the 5 of Cups. This is the energy coming in from the past. So there's some sort of a loss, some sort of loss and conflict that has happened where you may be holding on to some stuff about that, right? Next to that, you've got the 8 of Cups. So something that happened that you tried to reconcile and you had to walk away from it because it just wasn't right for you, right?
Yeah.
Next to that, in your challenge position, we've got the 4 of Swords. This is the need to take an intentional pause, take a moment, a weekend, a day, whatever, an hour, count to 10, do some box breathing, some self-care, something to sort of like make you feel whole again, right? It's your opportunity to sort of realign yourself. The outcome card is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is about your heart center, right? Your feeling. It's someone who is enthusiastic and inspirational and always like bright, sunny disposition. But someone who navigates their life through this, which is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. But what it means is that you can get hurt easily, right? Because you're sensitive. And if you're empathic, being sensitive can sort of also affect your spiritual journey as well as just your everyday life journey, right? We've got the 9 of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So being resilient, being resistant, being determined. You are determined to get to the 10. You're determined to get to the top of the mountain and put your claim on that space for yourself, but you're tired. So you need to take that rest. If you can take this rest and look after yourself, then your heart is going to talk to you. Your heart's going to be able to lift you up and speak to you in a way that resonates. I pulled some other cards. This is from my own Oracle group, or my own Oracle deck. There's no pictures, it's just words. But we've got Bump in the Night. Okay. We've got the Medication, which is looking for support, looking for clarity, and trying to build a solid foundation. You know, basically co-signing all of the cards that we got. We've got Tranquil, so looking for that peace, that quietude. And we've got Best Friends. So the best friends to me is like looking for a sense of support. Now, I'm going to tell you that right below your 9 of Wands on the bottom of the deck, you've got the Tower card. So you anticipate a change coming, which is probably why you're asking the question. I want to tell you that below that, you have the Knight of Pentacles. You know, you're going to get after it. You're going to get things done. You're going to be on a path where you are very focused and very driven, and you know exactly what you want. And I think that you're going to be on this bumpy road for a little bit in terms of your career, but I think that it's going to work out for you based on whatever you need it to be, as long as your heart and your mind are communicating with each other, and you're not going from like just emotional or just sort of like thoughts, if that makes sense. What'd you get, Shari?
Well, I started out with Justice. So
Yeah.
we're looking at a balance. You know, you're looking at karma. Everything is balancing out for you right now.
Yeah, it feels like something really like she really went through it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you're coming into, I mean, what I'm feeling is that you're coming into what is designed, because the next card I pulled was the wheel.
Yeah, more karma.
Yeah. And you know, so that's more karma, that's your destiny, that's a lucky break coming along. So
well, you know what's interesting? Sorry, I don't often do this, but I feel really strongly about this reading, so I forgive me, Shari. When the Wheel of Fortune comes up, I always think of the Wheel of Fortune like this. If you learn the lessons along the journey and are able to implement them, you continue the journey, you move forward. If you don't implement the lessons, if you don't learn from the lessons, then you keep spinning the wheel. You feel like you're spinning your wheel. So like you're getting that whole, it's funny. It's like the Wheel of Fortune should have been in my cards, because I got that whole stuck vibe.
Yeah.
So I apologize for.
No, that's cool, because I mean, that's kind of where I was going.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's just, I just like Kelly said, you know, if you've learned your lessons, you're going to keep moving forward. And I feel like, because I ended with the King of Pentacles. So, you know, that's talking about an overflowing of abundance, reaching your goals. Part of it is taking care of others and being successful at that. So I don't know you, Gemma, so I don't know your story. So it's very much a cold reading for me. But yeah, look right there, healing and confidence. That goes right along with what I've got here.
Yeah.
And then for the Oracle, I pulled Koi Fish Spirit, which is there's always enough.
Yeah.
Even though we may feel like we're without, there is always enough. It's just a matter of changing your perspective and looking through and deciding what it is that you need to focus on. And have you already attained that? And you're just spinning your wheels, and it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's what this is saying. The Koi is saying, okay, it's time to take the next step. You know, whatever that is within your career, whether if it's a new job, whether if it's a promotion, whether if it's, you know, being able to retire. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects you can have for that, you know. So
I want to add something to our both of our readings, and I want to say to you, Gemma, and I'm feeling this from the cards, and also like personally for you, that like I'm thinking about the King of Cups that I got and the King of Pentacles that Shari got, and so those are kings, right? Those are like, the providers. So one is like all about the emotions and how do you feel? What is your heart telling you? What do you desire? What do you wish? What do you dream of, right? And the King of Pentacles is about providing that secure foundation for you and for your family, for your future, right? And I sort of feel like listen to your heart to, what is it that you want in a job rather than trying to fit into a job, right? Yeah. Like, remember when you go for an interview, it's not just them interviewing you, it's your opportunity to interview them to make sure that you can get what you need from them, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, that's great.
Rose.
Have a good day, Rose. Okay, last question up.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
We've got Jessica.
Hello.
May I have a message? If there is time, we will make time.
I will use my crazy black and white cards here called the Inversion Tarot, which I just noticed I accidentally... I cut my deck to shuffle it, and I turned half of it upside down and half of it right side up. Well, we want to correct that right away.
And that's something that I really like about the Light Seers deck is that her attitude is there really is no upright reversal. It's just different. It's a shadow of yourself, or it's what's being put out there, with what you're reading on. And the fact that she was talking about doesn't matter what direction the card's in, when look around at the other cards, see what the story is, because even though the card's upright, it might be the shadow reading that fits more into what the story is going on there. So feel free to pull from both or from the opposite one than you would think you would. And I just found that really encouraging, which is why I really like this Light Seers. And
I also like the way that book is written in terms of there's a lot of positivity I find in that book, and it's not just like a word, you know what I mean? Like there's like a whole meaning behind it, and I like that.
I know when I first got the little book, I mean, it's like every day at lunch. I've started doing daily affirmations. So every day at lunch, I do a little under 1 minute video on a daily affirmation. Right now, I'm going through, it's buried, Louise Hay's affirmations for self-esteem. So many of those messages speak to me so strongly because for decades, I battled with very poor self-esteem that stems from childhood things that happened that I'm just not even going to get into at this point in time. That it took me a long, long time to feel like I was worthy to have anything, much less just that ability to feel like I'm worthy of it. I worked for it. I deserve it. I'm not a bad person. And it's funny how, things that happen when you're a kid can really mess you up.
Yep.
And when I started reading
especially when you don't recognize that you even have, something, and it just kind of like walks up and hits you one day and goes, "Hey, I'm still here," and you're like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah, I thought I got rid of you. So anyway, I started reading these like one a day, and I thought, well, this is kind of cool. It's just right. I could do like a little short every day. So at lunchtime, I do one card every day at lunchtime and try to keep it under a minute. And
I tried doing that. Well, not the affirmations on like as a short, but I tried doing a positivity board. You all know that story, right? Where I took some of my favorite quotes and sayings and different affirmations from,
The cat ate them.
hundreds of oracle cards, and I had them right up here on a bulletin board beside me, and then my cat ate them all. So my cat's super positive.
That's it.
Love it. All right. Are you ready, Jessica? Okay. We start out with the moon. So, the moon card is an interesting energy because it can mean so many things, right? It can be showing you something that you don't know is there, showing you something that you do know is there. So, in other words, confirming, right? Or it can be giving you just enough light to lead, to light up the path that you need to see, or the path ahead. In your case, I think that it's a little bit of all of those things, which is interesting. Bye, Gina.
Bye, Gina.
Have a good day, love. We've got the King of Wands coming up next. Now, so this is the energy coming in from the not too distant past. King of Wands is that great entrepreneurial spirit, great communicator, very creative, really successful, charismatic, like, right, walks into a room and everyone's like, oh my God, you're here, yay. It's that kind of vibe. You got the Four of Wands, success, family, love, blessings, joy, support. The challenge position is the Five of Cups, which is interesting. And Five of Cups is that crying over spilt milk card. That's what I call it, right? So the challenge is when you have the Five Cups and two are left upright, but three have fallen over and the contents have spilled out, are you able to turn that situation from a half empty to a half full? Can you still find the positive? That's the challenge for you. Can you still find the positive in all situations, right? Can you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get on with it? You've got the King of Swords as your outcome card. This is the energy of being analytical and logical and strategic, right? Where you sort of like make a list and make a plan and then get on it. It's about finding like a higher perspective, right? Or a different perspective, like a different viewpoint. I don't know what this is about, but that's higher to me. I don't know what sorry. On the bottom of the deck, I've got the Five of Swords. So you're really feeling this like something's not right. Like there's some sort of upset, some sort of conflict, some sort of, it could be other people. Like I feel like someone's like poking the bear almost, right? Like someone's trying to like suck the joy out of whatever's going on for you. I don't know why I'm picking that up, but there you have it.
And you got two fives there back to back.
Yeah. Right. So I've got this oracle card. This is the Spellcaster Oracles and Answers. And then we've got the bear, which is rest and retreat. So I'm going to say, right? Okay, that's no joke, you guys. Look at that. Right?
You both threw the bear.
Yeah. Take yourself out into nature. Right? Proven stat, 90 minutes outside in nature can reduce your stress level by 40%. Yeah, so take yourself outside, get real quiet, check in with yourself, right? Close your eyes and think of all of the things outside, right? The ants crawling around the ground, right? Tune into them. Look at the color of the flowers, watching them bloom and blossom or die, whichever the case may be, right? Water, the bark of a tree, like really, really immerse yourself. Be like a sponge and let all of that just sort of wash over you at the same time to push any negativity out. That's going to allow you to lift your vibration, which will bring clarity and focus, and then you can get back into it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, well, and as Kelly had, I pulled also the brown bear spirit, where it just simply says take time out. Yeah. You pulled up the bear, I was like, no, you didn't. And then for the numerology messages, I drew the domicile moon, abundance. And basically what it says in this, because I was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what they're meaning by this. So I pulled out my little book to look at it. And it talks about an abundance of good things in all shapes and forms. You've kind of found your place in life where you're happy, where you're comfortable right now. It's talking about you've tapped into the right frequency to match what it is you want to achieve. So it's plugged in there. You just have to believe in it.
Yeah.
You have to take that time to say, okay, I'm plugged in, I'm hearing it, I'm feeling it. Now I just have to believe it.
See, that's that 5 of Cups. That's what that
That's-
is. Like to me, when you said that, that's that 5 of Cups, right? That's like,
Yeah.
can I make this work for me rather than resisting it, right?
Right,
Work
exactly.
with it,
and when
rather
you
than-
take it and put it with the bear, I mean, they're telling you just take it easy for a little bit.
Yep.
There's no big rush. You're kind of where you need to be. Don't be in a rush to leave it because this is where you need to be right now.
Well, it's funny
When
that
it's
you say
time
that.
for you to leave,
You know what's
Spirit
funny
will
that
let
you
you
say
know.
that? Okay, so the answers, right? So we all think, as people generally speaking, that, if the more we focus, the more the answers will come to us. And in a lot of cases, that is true. But what we're doing to get to be able to focus is the thing that's throwing us off, right? Because we're pushing so hard, pushing to find the answers. If we slow down and stop the monkey mind and get some positivity and some relaxation, focus and clarity is what comes. That is where the answers are found, right?
Absolutely.
Not when you're running around like a mouse in a maze, right? Hi, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas. See you tonight. So yeah, I hope that helped, Jessica. I mean,
well, this has been a fun hour and 40 minutes, hasn't it?
Wow, we've been an hour and 40 minutes already. Time flies when you're having fun and you're with your friends, So
absolutely. I just want to quickly mention that I'll be back on at 7:00 tonight Eastern on my channel and Ivana's channel. We're going to do some chat and cards, and
I'll be back on at 9:00 with Thomas from Tarot Your Way. And
so you all can just flip around. And thanks everyone for hanging out with us today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank y'all so much. Thank you for allowing us to step into your energy and read for you. I always consider that a very strong blessing, because invariably when I go back and kind of rewatch these to make sure there's nothing that maybe I need to kind of blip out, because sometimes my mouth talks without my brain in function, and I can get really surprised with how many of the messages being read are actually being directed at myself in a lot of ways.
100%.
And so, and you don't catch it at the time that you're reading. Most of the time, I couldn't tell you what I read 2 people ago. I have to go back and watch it again. And
well, for those of you that watch my daily videos, I call myself out all the time. I'll throw the cards down and be like, "Yep, this is for me," and so I hope that someone else needs it as well.
Yeah, well, I've been doing that with those affirmations, and several of them. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this one's talking to me today. Or this has been one of my struggles for quite a while. So, well, Kelly, thank you so much for coming and hanging with me for almost 2 hours. It's been a blast.
My pleasure.
Do this again.
Absolutely.
And now wait a whole year.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to
Canadian
all of my fellow Canadians. And it's Columbus Day, right?
Monday.
So happy Columbus Day to
holiday
people in the U.S.
So. Unfortunately, we don't get the day off. So, or as I've started calling it, Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes, that's right. I think Ellen said that to me the other day and I forgot, but thank you for the reminder. Yes.
Yeah, Indigenous Peoples Day. Because they're the ones that were here. They're the ones that really kind of prepared this land that we're so blessed to be in, for what's to come. And it was just the ignorance and the sheer belligerence of the white man, so to speak, coming in thinking that their way was better, when in many, many cases it was the opposite was true. And we're just now learning that. And hopefully we'll keep learning that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of those past wrongs and past hurts will finally be healed. But that's going to take a lot of work. And so take this weekend, whether if you're Canadian or not, it doesn't matter. Thankful for what you have.
Absolutely.
Be thankful for what's coming that you're not aware of yet, but go ahead and be thankful for it. It'll make it show up faster. And have a great weekend. So
Thanks.
Kelly will be on at 7 with Ivana.
Yeah,
I'll be on at 9 with Thomas. And tomorrow is Juno. Juno and I do our every other Sunday. So tomorrow's our Juno time.
Cool.
And so that's a lot of fun. We have a blast together. And
Awesome.
y'all have a great weekend. And thank you so much for coming and taking part in our crazy conversations today. So obviously it needed to be said.
Absolutely.
Well, bye for now, everyone. Y'all have a good one. Loved all.